Hello everyone and welcome to a very weird game from round 8 of this year's Tata Steel Masters edition. It is Fabiano Caruana with the white pieces against Magnus Carlsen, and Fabi's been having a great tournament so far. He defeated Gukesh and Rapport, I believe, drew his other game, so he's still without a loss. And Magnus, he did have that one, or rather two bad games where he lost two classical games in a row, so he is not having the greatest tournament of his life, and which makes what happens in this game all the more interesting, because the game is pretty much wrapped up in 6 moves after we leave theory. So let's check it out. Fabi has the white pieces. He opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. Fabi goes for the Ruy Lopez, a6, Morphy's defense by Magnus, bishop to a4, and now knight to f6. We have castles, bishop to e7, and now rook to e1. So very standard stuff here, nothing new. Pawn to b5, bishop to b3, and the Magnus castles. We have a4, and now Magnus advances his pawn all the way to b4. We have pawn to a5, and now pawn to d6. Again, nothing new here, all been played before the anti-martial variation. We have pawn to c3, and now rook to b8. We have h3, h6, and now Fabi strikes in the center with pawn to d4. So very, very standard setup. B captures on c3, B captures, and now E captures on d4. And now, if white captures with the c-pawn, then black very happily advances the pawn to d5. So that's why Fabi plays knight captures on d4. Now you can't play d5 as the knight on c6 is hanging. And bishop to d7 by Magnus. And there is one game in the database where knight to d2 was played. It was played last year, and the game ended in a draw, not a very eventful game between Gwyn and Wojtaszek. So here we have bishop to f4 by Fabi, and it is now, as of move 15, that we have a completely new game. Magnus goes knight to e5. He keeps the knights in the game. Also, he doesn't want to just fix white's pawn structure. We have knight to a3 by Fabi, and now rook to e8. So all very standard, moving the bishop to f8, so the rook gains control over the e-file. Bishop back to g3, preparing f4 to kick away this knight, and bishop to f8. We have pawn to f4 by Fabi, and now knight to c6, and now pawn to e5. Winning some very important squares here. We have E captures, D captures on e5, F captures on e5, and now knight captures on d4. So here already it's getting very interesting. What do you play here? Of course, you do not touch the knight on f6. You first have to recapture on d4, and now bishop to c6 by Magnus. And this is a very, very tricky move. Now, it seems like he blundered the knight on f6, but chances are that that is not the case, because if he captures on f6, then yes, it seems like white has everything defended, but now rook captures on e1 with check, and now either you move away the queen from the defense of the bishop on b3, or you play bishop captures on e1, but now rook captures on b3, queen captures, and queen captures on d4 check, nicely connecting with the rook on a1. And now after we move the king, look at this, queen captures on a1. Now again, everything's being threatened here. The bishop on e1 is hanging, also the knight here is hanging, so you have to play knight to c2 to defend everything. And now just queen captures on f6, and now if you count everything, there's not much to hope for here with white. Black is just up 2 pawns, completely winning. Also, the mighty bishop pair is here. This would not last very long. So here Fabi, instead of going for E captures on f6, went bishop to c2. There are other moves that you can play and not lose the game. You can play queen to c2, you can play rook to f1, you can play queen to d3. But bishop to c2 is one move that loses the game on the spot. So feel free to pause the video and try to figure out why this is so, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on taking down a World Chess Championship challenger, if we remember 2018. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is queen to d5. This threatens mate in 1. The problem is, even though it's such a tiny threat, there's no way to defend against it. And it's very important to not play rook to b4 first. You want to play rook to b4 next, and now threatening checkmate first will make it unstoppable. If you play rook to b4 first, then bishop to f2 can just defend the pawn. Let me just show it to you. If rook to b4, then you're just going to play bishop to d2. And now if queen to d5, now you can play queen to f3. And white defends. Black is better, but white to defends. However, if you start with queen to d5 threatening checkmate, and now there's a problem. Now you will no longer be able to play bishop to f2, because here Fabi played rook to e2, he stopped checkmate, but now rook to b4, this is what Fabi missed. Now bishop to f2 is impossible because just queen captures on g2. Defending with the queen instead of interposing with the rook, still impossible because just queen captures on d4. The queen is the only defender of the d4 pawn. So here Fabi played king h2, he has to part with the d4 pawn, but now his position just falls apart. Rook captures on d4, we have queen to b1, but now again many cool ways to continue the game. Any move is winning here for black because the position is winning for black, but just for fun, feel free to find an instant resigns for Fabi while I give you a couple of seconds. So again, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding the quickest way to victory. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook to d2. Very nasty threat here, just going after the rook. And the rook cannot move away from the defense of the g2 pawn. So you will trade here, captures. Now again, you are threatening checkmate here. And after queen to f1 defending, now you're going to play knight h5. You attack the bishop on g3. You save your knight from f6, but also you are threatening bishop captures on a3, and that will remove the defender of the bishop on c2, and there are just too many threats for white to handle. If you move the bishop sort of to save your piece, now look at this, just knight captures on g3, and after king captures, queen to g5 check. Now you eliminate the e5 pawn and just finish the game. Look at this, king to h2, now queen captures on e5 with check, and it doesn't matter what the white king plays. If king to g1, just bishop to c5 check, you bring the king back into the corner, and bishop to d6 now will end the game. If you want to stop this, you can play something like queen captures on f7, but after king to h8, there's not much to do. You have to start running away with your king. Now queen h2 check, king f1, and of course this will now be checkmate. So just the standard power of the bishop pair from hell. So after queen to b1, Magnus did not go for this. He didn't calculate all that much. He played it rather quickly. He wasn't he already messed up quite a lot in this tournament. He doesn't want to mess up more by over calculating, so he just goes for a completely winning endgame. He plays knight to e4, attacks the bishop here, and now you really have to capture on e4, otherwise you just resign here. There's no good way to deal with this. So Fabi tried bishop captures on e4, but now Magnus just trades everything. Rook captures, queen captures, bishop captures, and now knight to c4, trying to add a defender to these pawns here, but now rook to b8. We have rook to c1 by Fabi, and now rook to b5. We have pawn to e6, trading the e-pawn for the c-pawn. Magnus captures, we have f captures on e6, bishop captures, and now rook to c5. Attacks the bishop, bishop back to f4, and now bishop to d5. Attacking the knight here, and it was in this position on move 33 that Fabiano Caruana resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The knight is hanging, you can't really move it, or rather you have to move it, but after you move it, it's just an even more winning endgame for Magnus. Rook captures on c1, bishop captures, and now you just collect the a5 pawn. You're going to be up 2 pawns. This is completely winning. Doesn't really matter what white plays, the pawn will fall, and that's just you're up 2 pawns. Of course, you cannot play an endgame if you're down 2 pawns against an equally strong opponent, and especially not against Magnus Carlsen. So that's why on this in this position on move 36, Fabiano Caruana resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So really remarkable bounce back by Magnus Carlsen in this Tata Steel 2023, losing 2 games in a row to Anish Giri and Nodirbek Abdusattorov, then getting that draw against Jordan, and then winning 2 games in a row. Well, if you lose 2 games and then win 2 games, it's basically like you've drawn 4 games, which is not great for a player like Magnus, but it's not a total disaster. So it's like, drawing 4 games, maybe I'm gonna win a few. So he's definitely still in the tournament. It's hard to say whether he will be able to fight for first place if Nodirbek continues playing like this, but anything is possible. Like if Nodirbek draws the next 3 games, Magnus wins the next 3 games, it is possible. However, winning, he already now won 2 games in a row, winning 5 would be a bit over pushing it, and who's to say Nodirbek will not win a few as well, or even all of them. So we'll see what happens. Magnus does get back into the tournament somewhat, but we'll see. Plenty more rounds in the event. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Fabi basically lost in a few moves. It was a completely new game on move 15, and then he blundered the game on move 22. So really weird stuff happening here. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it and that you were able to solve the 2 pause the video moments. I would like to thank Richard F. Sayaj, Blaže Burkot, Rob, Classical is Best, and Victor David for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Tata Steel until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.